Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the session today. I just want to take the time to thank everyone because I know it's happy hour, so I'm just going to try to keep it as quick as possible so that you can go off and enjoy, because I know how long a day that these can get. So this session today is called 9.5 Years Without Certification. And what to expect from today's session, it is all about certification being necessary, but also as well about challenging yourself and challenging others within the business if these are personal blockers for you getting certified. So I know that this can be a very emotive issue, and I will explain today how I myself didn't have certification for a long, long time. So I guess the place to start out would be looking at the numbers. So there's two articles, the Microsoft Learning blog and also the Pearson VUE Value of Certification survey, that actually tries to put some numbers around this. The first one is that there is a 15% salary difference between somebody that is certified and somebody that is not certified. In addition, it has been identified that employees that are certified are 20% more productive. For the people that took certifications, 23% experienced salary raises of up to 20%. And perhaps most importantly, 65% of people that took certifications had a positive impact to their image and reputation. Now this is very, very positive statistics. If I look at this slide and when I looked at the numbers, I think it was a no-brainer to say that we should go and we should pursue certification. Just a quick hands up. Do you know people in your organization that are not certified and have never been certified? Wow, that's quite a big number, right? And again, the statistics show that this is the case. Of 250 businesses that were surveyed in the Microsoft Cloud Skills Report, only 35% of them thought it was highly desirable or essential for their employees to have certification. That means 65% didn't think it was essential, and 20% of them thought it was actually unimportant. That was 250 businesses that were surveyed. So if you landed in 20% of them, in 50 of those 250 businesses, they wouldn't place any emphasis on your self-development. I asked you the question of whether you knew people who weren't certified, because I was the textbook case. For 9.5 years out of the 12 years that I've worked in IT, I was not certified whatsoever. I didn't do anything to go and try to get certified. I didn't have any interest. As you can see on the slide, that didn't mean that I didn't have successes. In the UK, I managed to move over 100,000 users to Office or Microsoft 365. I built a professional services practice from zero up to £500,000 a year, year on year. I only decided in 2018 to start getting certified. I started out with my MCSA for Office 365, which led on to my MCT. This year, I concentrated on doing my Microsoft 365 Enterprise Admin Expert. Now, what made that change? Well, I could say about all of these successes that I had before I got certified. But if I'm being completely honest and transparent with you, the real-world outcomes of not being certified was actually holding me back, and I want to give some examples of this. So let's take the one, authenticity. My boss in the business used to say to people, Chris is somebody who drives the car but isn't qualified to drive. He said that to partners and clients. He used to introduce me as that in actual meetings. Now that's damn right offensive, right? But however I look at it, he was absolutely right, because I didn't have any certification. If I look at it from an integrity perspective, in a meeting that I sat in the business, and there were 25 of my colleagues in the business, I made a point about, I think it was something to do with Microsoft Stream or Microsoft Teams, and he turned around to me in front of all of those 25 colleagues and said, you don't know what you're talking about because you've got nothing on paper that can actually prove that you know what you're actually saying. That's probably even worse than the last point. But my integrity as a technician was being challenged. In addition, if I look at things in terms of opportunities, I would get some good projects, But I didn't get the best projects, and I didn't get the largest projects because it was perceived in the business that people were more certified and qualified to be in that position. I'd moved 100,000 users to Office 365, but I still didn't get the biggest jobs. I still didn't get the biggest opportunities. In terms of longevity, my CEO at the time, he said, well, what happens if the business was to suddenly stop working tomorrow? Let's say I wanted to go and work for Microsoft. I wouldn't have even made it past the paper sift because whilst I could sit down and I could talk a good story on paper, I had nothing. And the last point about security. When I met my wife at the time, I explained to her that I didn't have any certification either. And she said, well, what are you going to do if you get made redundant? How are you going to get and earn the same money that you're actually earning now? She went absolutely mad. She said, you've got to go and sort this out. So it's hard, difficult conversations, and these things, they're just some examples. They were holding me back from all of these opportunities, the longevity of my IT career, the integrity of me as a person. But it wasn't just about those real-world outcomes. It was about challenging the personal blockers that were holding me back to start today to go and take a certification. I started out with, I think it's 7346, which was Office 365 identities. And I had to identify, challenge, and then actually reframe all of those blockers that was holding me back. Now, these are the ones that were personal to me. This is not an exhaustive list. So one of the reasons I think I didn't take my certifications and my exams was because I didn't like exams, and I was afraid of failure. And I thought that if I failed an exam, it would reflect badly upon me within the business. And to be honest, that's a kind of almost a ridiculous mentality to have, because everybody fails. I have failed multiple exams on the way to getting multiple certifications. I fail pretty much every day at one thing, whether it's in my role, right, as a technician, my role as a father, my role as a husband, well, mainly in the role as a husband, right, but I always fail at something. But the thing to understand is that not only do we all fail, but failure in itself is a learning experience. It allows us to identify areas for improvement. So really, when we say that we don't like exams or that we don't like failure, we can reframe it to say that these are opportunities to succeed. They're opportunities to identify the things that we need to do to go on and get to where we want to go to. I used to always say to people, experience matters more. The hands-on matters more. It's not about the certs, it's about the doing. Now that, again, can be broken down and deconstructed, because it's not about a conversation about what matters more. It is about what is necessary to take you forward to get to where you want to go. And it can be about the hands-on, and it can be about the certifications. But it's not a conversation about which one matters more. It's a conversation, and when we reframe that, it's about doing necessity, all that necessary. Certifications are necessary for us to get to the roles that we want to get to in the future. And in addition, I used to say, money. I used to say to my wife, I got it's £160, pound for a Microsoft exam. But then I'll think nothing about going out and buying an Xbox. It's an investment in your development as a person. It's not a transactional cost. You are investing in your future, and when you get that 20% pay rise, when you get that higher job, it will return. You will get a return on investment. So in addition to this challenging and reframing, we can go back to the numbers. It gives you an improvement in that image and reputation. Anyone passed the Microsoft exam? Can I just have a hands up? Doesn't it make you feel good? Right? We can't get away from it. It makes us feel absolutely good. It makes us feel more confident as a person and confident in the job that we do. But also as well, I'm not going to deny it. I want more money too. We all, life's expensive. My wife's expensive. My son's expensive. We got lots of bills to pay out for. So the other recommendations is, if you're having problems, if you identify a blocker and you're finding it difficult to get over to, reach out. Reach out to people that have taken certification. Reach out and ask them about what difference it actually made to their life. If not, find me on social and reach out to me, and I'll try to convince you, not in a 20-minute session, but over the course until you actually do go and sit that exam. But also as well, don't wait. Don't let time kind of pass you by and think, I'm going to go and do this, but I'll do this, 10 years later. Because it took me a little while to get started. When I kind of found out that I actually was going to do it, it took me 6 months to get in there when I put everything aside. Do that today. Start creating those opportunities today. And also, it's not just about challenging and reframing your personal blockers. It's also in challenging and reframing ones inside your environment, inside the business. I've been told that me doing a certification, what was the business getting in return? So, I took that away. And I created a business case. I said to the business, this is what I am going to return to you. If you invest in me, this is what I'm going to achieve for you. And it started, I started to educate the business in that investment. And my financial director looked at me and said, you know what? This is actually feeling like a little bit of quid pro quo. So yes, I'm going to invest a little bit in you, but you're going to give something back to us over the course of the next year in terms of professional services or managed services or consultancy. Also as well, if somebody in the business says, it doesn't matter, certifications doesn't matter. Well, in my experience, they absolutely do matter for the business. In terms of Microsoft competencies, you need those certifications to get competencies, you need them for expertise, you need them to market your subject matter expertise. They can be marketed, they can be sold as any much as products, because you are the people that they are putting on show to be able to do these jobs, right? So we can reframe that it's absolutely necessary for businesses to pursue certification. Businesses as well may come up with the fact that they might lose their best employees. I've heard it before. I had one director say to me that we're worried that if we certified all of our employees within our business, they'll just move on. Well, that could be the case. That's the risk that every single business has. But I can guarantee you one thing. If you don't give your employees certification, if you don't give them any opportunities to develop, to go on, to feel that confidence, to be able to make more money, then they're absolutely going to go out the door anyway. So arguably, we can reframe this to the business as an actual act of retention, as one that they think they're going to have brain drain going on within their business. And finally, the big one. The one that's probably the hardest one at all to hear, they tell you that you are not ready to sit that certification. Somebody else tells you, I don't think that you're good enough to go ahead and do that certification. I just want to stress this point. You are absolute in complete control of your development and certification. Your certification is not defined by the four walls that you work in, or your reporting line, or the hierarchy within the business whatsoever. You can go out today. You can go and pay for a Microsoft exam, sit a Microsoft exam, you can revise for a Microsoft exam, all outside of your business. I've done certifications just because I was interested in a certain subject. Do not let anyone tell you how your own development should go from a learning perspective. It's all about, if we reframe this, if we're going to extend our careers and our opportunities in IT, we need to take ownership and self-control of that learning and drive it, sometimes if we come into conflict with our own businesses for doing so. It's about your career and it's about your success at the end of the day. We can also use the numbers and recommendations to go back on this. Show them that report when making that business case. A certified employee is 20% more productive. That's the bump in difference in productivity. But also, 68% said it introduced efficiencies into their working and highlighted new areas for new professional and managed services. So I'd make some recommendations here. The first is align your case to your business, to the business's strategy as closely as possible. Why? Because they're more than likely to think that there's something in it for them. Most cases it is, because everyone that I speak to say, I want to do good for my business. So when you're making that business case, look at your company's goals, look at what your company's outcomes for what they want to achieve, and set it quite squarely within that strategy. The second is, try to develop a culture within the workplace that certification is right and good. Ignore those people that turn around and say that it doesn't matter. They probably never mean to leave the business. They're going to sit there for 20 years and probably sit on their jobs. They're not going on the same path as you're all going on. If they turn around and say that, but by developing a culture, by developing individuals, we get together in groups to advocate certification. That is when we can actually achieve cultural change and a more forward and positive look. So I hope within this short session that I've shown why certification is necessary, how we can challenge our own personal blockers, and how we can challenge blockers within the business. So the next steps. Certify today. If you haven't taken a certification, you get a free exam for coming to Microsoft Ignite, which you can actually sit during the conference or that you can do afterwards. That's a real meal ticket to be able to go on. And if you haven't, start today. Tackle those personal blockers, tackle those business. Some of it is introspection. Some of it is looking within ourselves to be able to. And sometimes we just need to talk to a friend or a colleague about those blockers that we face, and they can help. Maybe, and hopefully, by coming to this session, it's going to help you tackle some of those blockers. So there's lots of certification sessions at Ignite. You can see the 101. You can also keep on learning and look 10 years younger. I'm going to go to that one, right? But you can visit Microsoft Learn at the Hub and download those reports. I don't like basing things on emotion. I've tried to take it back to the numbers as far as possible to show you that the numbers are stacked in your favor. So I really hope that I've given some food for thought today. I would like to thank you so much for coming down today. Have a great happy hour. If you're out tonight, I hope you go to a good party or take a rest, whatever your choice. But thank you very much. Please evaluate the session and have a great rest of the conference. Thank you very much.